A lot of people don't know that Blade actually kind of pioneered the way for the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What I mean is, Wesley Snipes' version of Blade, the first Blade movie that came out in the 90s, was actually the second Marvel movie ever to hit the big screen. It was preceded by Howard the Duck. Now, while Blade was pretty popular and Howie wasn't, that's why I'm saying he kind of paved the way for the MCU. Now, unfortunately, this giant PCS statue isn't even based off of the Blade movies. Are you sure, Mr. X? Oh, I'm sure. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Today we're looking at this 1/3 scale Blade statue made by PCS. Very excited to have him in the house. He's going to go in between two other 1/3 scale vampire statues. One of them made by ECC, one of them made by Prime One Studio. If you want to see what that looks like, check out the Extreme Channel social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The link for those is in the description below. But let me clear some of this up. So if you're thinking, Mr. X, you said this statue isn't based off the movies and it looks exactly like it is. Well, it doesn't. So first of all, the vampire type creatures down below were not exactly in the movies. These are kind of pretty significant variations. Wesley Snipes, his outfit is varied a little bit, although the portrait looks just like him. But this isn't supposed to be Wesley Snipes. This is based off of a video game, Midnight Suns, or Midnight Sun, which I've never played because I'm an adult. No disrespect to adults that play video games, just chicks don't dig it, I don't think. Unless you have someone you play video games with as a female, then I take that back and she's a keeper. That's how I knew Mrs. X was a keeper. She likes sports as much as I do, not statues. I got her into liking drinking too. That's what you got to do. You got to change the women. They're trying to change you too, so you better watch out. And I can talk to men generally because 98% of viewers are men. So for the 50 or 100 women that watch this, no disrespect. Anyway, so I just woke up out of bed and he was waiting for me. So here he is. I'm really excited to review this piece. Even though it's based off the video game, I think Blade was a fantastic movie. Number one was. Number two was okay. Number three went a little bit downhill. Other than Ryan Reynolds and the comedic relief, and of course Blade was always a badass, the rest of the movie was really iffy in my opinion. But this is not the first Blade piece I've owned. I've actually owned two that were based off of the movie. First is this custom quarter scale Blade statue right here, which I really liked, but I sold because I had nothing else in the quarter scale. And then I had ECC's 1/3 Reaper. This is from the second Blade movie. I really liked these creatures. I actually own the bust to this as well. But I sold it, but now that I have him, I kind of wish I didn't sell that other one, not have him. I'm very excited to have him. While there's definitely some opportunities with this statue, overall, I think it's pretty damn cool. And let's explain why, starting with the best part, in my opinion, which is the concept. So, they went really dynamic on this piece, and it's a 1/3 scale piece. So typically with 1/3 scale pieces, you see more of a museum style pose and a normal base. This is not the case here. On the base, he has 6 other vampires, or half vampires, because they're coming out of the ground. It's just a rock-like ground. There's a little bit of sewer pipe in the back. So this could be the depths of New York City or wherever Blade's located at. And they are reaching out, attacking him. And they are not only attacking him, but they are attacking him in daylight, in sunlight. You can see that because some of them are actually melting away. Such a cool effect. It seems small and insignificant, but I think it really adds a lot to this statue. And Blade is jumping on top of them. So this may just be a small scene. There might be more than 6 vampires. There might be 600, and he's running across the top because he has this dynamic pose with his jacket flowing, multiple weapons everywhere. You see handguns and stakes, and he's holding a sword and his bladerang. You like what I did there? His armor, and he is fierce and ready to go. And what's cool about this is, we'll talk about design, a lot of switch out options. But I love this. I think this is a great concept, even if it's based off the video game. To me, it still looks like it's Blade from the movie, so I'll take it. I give the concept a 5 out of 5. I think PCS knocked it out of the park. And if you don't like overly dynamic stuff, they actually made a museum style that hasn't released yet, but it's up for pre-order right now. Check it out. It's this right here. I think this looks pretty cool as well. Design. So before we dive into design, when you set the bar high and you want to do an elaborate statue, I give you more credit, and I definitely do that with here. But before we go into specifics, here is the unboxing and assembly. Two very large boxes, which makes sense for such a big diorama. PCS always uses the straps, which the second box there was an issue we're going to look at. First box just had the base and a few other pieces. Second box, as I open it up, you can see it wasn't even strapped closely together. So I was a little bit worried, and this is going to come into play later. First layer, everything was fine. The second layer, there was definitely a lot of extra packaging, which unfortunately, as you're going to see, it wasn't enough. I'm going to measure him before we get anything done here. So he's about 15.5 inches wide. And the tallest part is probably his arm over here, 31.5 inches maybe. And the deepest part, this is just the base. It doesn't include his sword sticking out, is about 14-15 inches. So what I like is, while it's a big statue and there's a lot of mass, it's all vertical, so it's going to be easy to display with other pieces. Where I'm going to put him, it's actually going to be a little cluttered for probably about 4 or 5 months till I switch some stuff around. But few issues here. Number one is, you saw me insert the arms, and it does leave some seam lines. Here's a few pictures of those seam lines I'm talking about. Little unfortunate on the bottom though, so they're kind of harder to see. Blade, there weren't any seam lines, but I did have a nasty break. Might have been 2 breaks actually. So first, the back of the jacket is breaking. You can see this right here. Hopefully it doesn't break more. That's really unfortunate. And the other part is, I think one of the gun handles, here you can see it before it's assembled, but once it's assembled way up there, you can't see it. But I couldn't find the piece to that, so I don't know if that's intentional and the coat's supposed to cover it up. Really don't care. Now, I actually bought this from Spec Fiction. We're going to talk more about them later. And like the last 5 statues I bought come in huge boxes, and my carriers hate me, so they just roll those up the driveway before we can run out there and stop them. So they usually break them, and I hate putting all this burden back on the Toddfather from Spec Fiction. So Mrs. X will fix that part in the back. Just paint it for now, and we'll keep an eye on it. And then the gun you can't see anyway. Otherwise, he would take care of me, but again, it's not a big deal. So I said there's different display options. Let's talk about that. There's some hit and misses with those. Right arm can be holding a sword. Now, the cool part about this is, if you don't want the iconic sword, you can actually switch it out for a stake, a metal stake. Now, he does have these metal stakes down here, and as you saw during the assembly, you can actually remove them. So you could have him holding the stake, and you could remove it from there. Assumably, he took it out of there, or you could just leave him in there. Left arm, he has the blade orang, or another metal stake. Now, I chose not to do either of the metal stakes simply for the fact that he has them right there, so it kind of represents all the weapons. I would have liked the option to see him holding one of his guns, because that's kind of an iconic part of him as well, but I like that you can still see them in the holsters. There are 3 portraits, kind of. So first is one, this doesn't look like Wesley Snipes at all. He's roaring, but I still think this looks incredibly badass, and I do like it. Then you have a Wesley Snipes portrait right here, and then another Wesley Snipes portrait. Now, the difference between these two is one of them can have sunglasses, and one of them can't. So you actually see this part on the ear, behind the ear, where the sunglasses key in. I think that's a miss, personally. The other one that the sunglasses can't key in, you shouldn't have even sent that because you could display this without the sunglasses and nobody's going to notice that tiny little ear. They should have made the Wesley Snipes like portrait roaring like they did that first one. I think that was a huge miss in my opinion. Although I think the two really portrait options you have are both pretty cool. So that's really it with design. I think it's elaborate. Everything fit really well. Some minor seam line stuff, some minor breakage. But I give it a 3 out of 5 because I think the switch outs are good. They could have done different ones. And I am a little worried because I have a number of PCS 1/3 scale horror type pieces on order. So let's look at the paint and sculpt. I think it's a little bit of a miss in some areas, mostly on the paint. I think the sculpt is really nice. Take a look. As we dive into the paint and sculpt, there's some things I think they did really good and some things definitely opportunity. Mostly the paint. Let me show you some of the areas. So first of all, like if you look at the base, I just don't think the paint's very good. It has this shiny effect. While I love the concept of the sun degrading it, it looks a little weird in my opinion. And I think it's something with the orange and yellow paint. I'm trying to figure it out. Even the paint around the teeth and the inside of the mouth there of the vampires. I don't want to say it's mediocre paint. It's just not some of the best I've ever seen. You can definitely tell that it's factory paint. Same thing with inside of his cape. However, there's other areas that it's really good. So for example, look at the detail in the zipper and the buckles. Very clean, fantastic job. The portrait itself is absolutely amazing. And his eyes. I believe those are painted too. No, they're decals. They still look badass. So really on the paint, I'm a little questioning it. His sword is a little crooked. It's hard to tell from certain angles. And even the sword, it doesn't look like real metal. I mean, it's not real metal, but a lot of times you're able to do a paint job where this looks more metal, but you can still tell it's kind of this plastic feel. Yeah, that was the other thing too. Look at his fingers and hands. Not really a fan. So definitely some opportunities with the paint, but then like I said, the entire outfit and blade and his portrait look fantastic. And look at the ears, another paint opportunity. I think the sculpt is great though. I love the sculpt on this. I think this is a Franco sculpt if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. But the mouths on the vampires look absolutely fantastic with the teeth and the eyes. The decals on these eyes look great. I do like how the sculpt of the sun degrading. That probably had to be hard to do with, having the foresight of what the paint would look like on it. The musculature on the vampires looks good. And then the suit, so much detail on the suit. Everything from the boots to the folds and the texture in the pants, the scratches on the armor, the buckles, zipper, gauntlet on the arm, how the jacket flows. Look at the zipper on the jacket. Incredible detail. So overall, yeah, I think the paint is not bad. I think the sculpt is good. And as you back up, just like anything, it gets better and better. There you can really see the sword bent, kind of annoying. Either all badass piece, and I think the concept makes up for a lot of the small concerns I'm pointing out here. Paint. Some areas better than others we looked at. I think Blade's portrait is fantastic, but I think it's a 3 out of 5 overall due to some of the misses. And not, the females, but the misses with the statue. Sculpt, I like more. I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the sculpt. Really impressed. How bent that sword is really pissing me off. All right, let's see if this is worth it. So this is $1,390. I got him from Spec Fiction. Spec Fiction is fantastic. They carry a whole bunch of different lines. A lot of you know who they are. There's a link in the description below. If he's not on their website, you just email them and ask for it. Fantastic piece, $1,390, edition size of 400. It's a 1/3 scale statue, and 1/3 scale statues range anywhere from 1,000, well, not even that cheap, really 1,200 all the way up to 4,000 nowadays for the really expensive ones, but they're kind of in the 1,500 to 2,000 range. So I think this is a great value. You do have a limited audience, so there's definitely that, but I think it's a great value. I think the value is a 4 out of 5 because we haven't had a Blade statue for so long, and I think Wesley Snipes, even though it's not officially based off him, did great in that role. I might want to change my value, though, because I do know that there's still some available, which just mystifies me. Maybe people are getting the museum. Maybe just not that many people are into Blade. I don't know. It is pretty old now. Does he have the X Factor? Is he 5 out of 5? I think he's close. This is a pretty fucking cool statue. I really like how dynamic it is. I think I wish I had in between scores like 4.5. It would get 4.5, but I'm gonna give it a 4. 4 out of 5 overall. Definitely better than average. Very cool piece. Gonna have him for a long, long time. I like vampires. I like werewolves. I actually have a video coming out on vampires and werewolves, or it already came out. I don't know. You'll see it, or you did see it. My question for you guys and misses: did you like the movie? The Blade movie, any of them? Throw that down in the comments below. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the Todd Father and Spec Fiction. Love it. And I look forward to seeing what he looks like with the other vamps. Lots of vamps. Can't stop saying vamp.